She's my stepsister. She told me to stay away from her at school. When other kids picked on me, she just watched with cold eyes. I always thought she hated me. That changed the day I got a girlfriend. She knocked on my door late that night. She smiled and asked, "You fell in love?" The next second, she pinned me against the wall, teeth clenched tight. "Wasn't I enough for you, Marcus?" After my mom's divorce, she remarried a man named Dale. Uncle Dale had a daughter named Lexi, 1 year younger than me. Mom said she had great grades. Very well-mannered too. The day we moved into their house, Lexi smiled and helped us carry in every single bag. Mom laughed warmly. What a sweet and loving scene. Everything looked perfect on the surface. But the moment our parents stepped out, everything changed. I reached out to touch a trophy in the glass cabinet, and Lexi shoved my hand away. "Don't touch my things." Her face had gone completely cold. Right then, I understood she didn't just dislike me. She hated me. I transferred to Lexi's school. Same class as her. Lexi agreed with a smile for the parents. "I'll look after him, of course." But once we passed the school gate, she acted like I didn't exist. Always kept her distance from me. Lexi was the most popular girl in school. Half the guys had a crush on her. To everyone else, she was beautiful, smart, top of every class, cheerful and kind. Only I knew what she was really like. One afternoon after school, I forgot my house key. Lexi had club activities. I went to find her at the activity hall. I walked in just as a boy was confessing to her. The crowd cheered and clapped. Lexi turned him down with a soft smile. She even handed back his love letter gently. No mockery. Then she saw me. That smile still on her face, she walked toward me slowly. I stepped back instinctively. She pulled me into a corner no one could see. Then the mask came off. Cold voice, cold eyes. "You forgot your key again?" She pulled something from her pocket. I reached out to grab it. Before I could catch it, she let go. Clack. The key hit the floor. She didn't even look at it, just turned and walked back inside. As I bent down to pick it up, I heard someone call after her. "Was he confessing to you again? Did you finally say yes?" Lexi laughed lightly. "Not my type." That night, Lexi knocked on my door for the very first time. She stood outside in the dark, moonlight behind her. Her face was as cold as stone, her voice even colder. "Stay away from me, always." After the wedding, my mom was genuinely happy. So when Uncle Dale asked me one evening, "Does Lexi treat you okay?" I just smiled and nodded. In that moment, I caught something flicker behind Lexi's eyes. I let it go. As long as Mom was happy, nothing else mattered to me. But ever since that day they thought I was confessing to Lexi, school became harder for me. Girls can be just as ruthless as anyone over a rival. Things that weren't mine kept appearing in my desk. Whispers spread that I was a thief. Through all of it, Lexi watched with blank eyes. I even wondered if she was behind it. I kept my head down and endured it, until the day someone wrote all over my textbook. Shameless. After school, I erased every single word, page by page. At some point, Lexi was standing beside me. The classroom was empty. Sunset light stretched across the floor. That golden last light of the day, just like her name. "You're just like your mother." Shameless. A sharp slap rang out. The quiet girl broke through the stillness of dusk. My cheek burned red fast. I kept my hand raised. I glared at Lexi hard. "You think I won't hit back?" "Lexi, don't push me." The shock in her eyes vanished quickly. She looked almost amused. A slow, dangerous smile crept onto her face. She stepped closer. I stepped back. But the wall was right there. She leaned in, her lips near my ear, word by word, like a devil whispering. "You're done." I understood quickly what Lexi meant. She started acting differently at school. She walked right beside me, came into class with me, waited outside the door to walk home with me. I couldn't shake her. And the revenge from others got worse. My textbooks got glued shut. My chair was covered in ink. When the bell rang, I was always the last one standing there alone. Nobody helped me. Lexi would walk past, with a smile, in that gentle voice of hers. "Are you having fun?" I clenched my jaw and said nothing. One afternoon, someone called me crazy, threw a book at my head in front of everyone. I caught it, without flinching. The classroom went dead quiet. Slowly, I walked to the front, set the book down on the desk. looked the guy straight in the eye, said nothing. My silence scared them more than any word. From that day on, they called me the quiet madman. I didn't care. At least they stopped touching my stuff. I watched Lexi from across the room. Her expression hadn't changed. Blank, cold, unreadable, and somehow that was worse. She got up and left without looking back. Something small shifted inside me. A quiet kind of anger. Or maybe something closer to sadness. I wasn't sure yet which one. 3 days passed with cold silence between us. Then math class came. The teacher called for group discussions. Because of the madman incident, no one wanted to pair with me. Everyone grouped up fast. I sat alone with my book open. "Do you want to work together?" A quiet, warm voice. I looked up. It was Riley, the class president. I didn't know why she'd noticed me, but I nodded. After school that day, Riley asked if I wanted to walk home together. I didn't say no. We made it almost to the gate. Then someone stopped us. It was Lexi, stepping right in front of me. I tensed up. She walked toward us slowly. I frowned. She stopped, right in front of me, with that warm public smile of hers. "Were you going without me?" Riley looked between us, surprised. "You two know each other?" Lexi turned to Riley with a soft laugh. "We live in the same house. We're neighbors." She laughed again. "I'm so sorry, did I interrupt?" Riley shook her head. She scratched the back of her neck. No. You two go together. I'll head out." After Riley left, Lexi let out a quiet, cold laugh. She turned away, walked off without me. After that, Lexi got stranger and stranger. Riley was the only one at school who'd talk to me. And the moment I spent time with Riley, Lexi would appear from nowhere, like a shadow. It was worse than the bullying. To shake her off, I started spending more time with Riley. Slowly, naturally, we became real friends. Riley was kind, gentle, always thinking of others first. Everything Lexi, this dark presence in my life, could never be. Riley's birthday was that Sunday. She invited me along. Our parents and Lexi were out for the day. I got dressed up, ready to leave. The front door clicked open. Lexi walked in. Under the cold white light of the living room, she looked at me for a moment. "Where are you going?" "None of your business," I said coldly. I moved to walk past her. Lexi grabbed my wrist hard. "Marcus, where are you going?" "Let go." She shoved me against the wall. My back hit the light switch. Click, the lights went out. The room went pitch black. In the darkness, I swung my free hand. She caught that one too. "Still want to hit me?" She laughed softly, low, quiet. Her breath was warm against my ear. My whole face went numb. "Marcus, you touch me once, and I will make you pay." Even in the dark, I can imagine that smug little smile on your face right now. I smiled. Then I stood on my toes and bit the hand holding me down. Lexi hissed sharply. She let go and pushed me back. I tasted blood. The lights came back on. The tips of her ears were red, rage and something else in her eyes. She looked at her palms slowly, touched the bite mark, drew a finger across her lips. That dangerous smile again. "Why'd you stop?" I said nothing, just stared, turned around, walked out. This time she didn't stop me, but she followed me down the street. The early winter air was sharp and cold. Under dim orange streetlights, her shadow trailed behind mine, close enough to feel, too far to grab. I turned a corner. Then I ran. The cold wind cut past my ears. This time she didn't chase me. Riley's party was at a karaoke place. I stood outside the room, took off my heavy coat, just a light shirt underneath. I took a deep breath, pushed the door open. Riley hadn't told anyone I was coming. The room froze. Everyone stopped mid-song. One by one, they went silent. Even the kid holding the microphone just stared, jaw dropped. In the dim karaoke light, only the backing track kept going. Riley was the first to move. She came toward me with that bright smile of hers. Eyes lit up. "You actually came." I nodded. "Obviously." "Don't just stand there." She pulled me in to sit down. She looked up at the others. "Hey, keep going. Don't stop on my account." The song started back up. The room slowly filled with noise again. Half-empty bottles lined the table. They'd been at it a while. The smell of drinks in the air mixed with something warm. Someone's perfume. Something soft. A strange warmth in the room. My cheeks felt hot. "Happy birthday," I said quietly. Riley thanked me, eyes squinting with her smile. I pulled a small box from my jacket pocket. She blinked, surprised. "Can I open it?" I nodded. Inside was a lucky cat figurine, eyes curled into a smile. The moment I'd seen it in the shop, I thought it looked just like Riley. "I love it. Thank you." She smiled wide. Curious glances came our way. Riley deflected them all with ease. It had been so long since I transferred here. For the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere, like I had never been the one standing alone. 2 songs later, a few boys came over grinning. "Hey, class president, there's another guest. Should we bring them in?" Riley nodded. A cold feeling moved through my chest. When Lexi's face appeared in the doorway, I nearly stopped breathing. She had a small bandage on her hand. The guys swarmed around her the second she walked in. All smiles. She said something soft to them, and they all laughed. Then she walked over slowly and stopped right in front of me. "Is this seat taken?" She pointed to the empty spot beside me. No one answered for me. Lexi sat down like she owned the place. I straightened up, pressed myself as far into the corner as I could. Riley hadn't noticed the tension between us. She leaned over and asked simply, "You two are neighbors, right? How come you didn't come together?" I kept my face flat. "We're not close." Under the table, fingers wrapped around my wrist, tight, painful. "Right." Riley laughed a little awkwardly. "I thought you two were childhood sweethearts or something." My expression didn't change. The grip under the table got tighter. Someone called Riley's name. She stood up and went over to a group of classmates. The lights were dim, music thumping loud. Nobody was watching our corner. Lexi glanced sideways at me, that hidden edge surfacing in her eyes. "You look nice today." A compliment, technically, said without a drop of warmth. "Let go." I kept my anger down. She acted unbothered, but she squeezed harder. "Lexi." A tall guy came over, Connor, the class vice president. She let go quietly without anyone noticing. "Want a drink with me?" Connor grinned openly. Big arms. He casually dropped a hand over her shoulder. She tilted her head. "Sure." The room cheered. They knocked back several drinks together. "What happened to your hand?" Connor asked. "Bite mark." "Do you need a rabies shot?" She laughed. "Probably not." Her eyes drifted briefly to me. "He's not quite that wild." The smell of drinks and smoke hit me hard. My stomach turned. I got up and stepped outside. The cold air snapped me awake. No jacket on, but I didn't want to go back in. I leaned against the wall in the corridor. A few minutes passed. Then footsteps stopped beside me. Lexi, standing there. She said nothing at first, just leaned next to me. In the silence between us, she said quietly and unexpectedly, "We're the same, you know, you and me." I stared straight ahead. "We're not the same." She tilted her head back, looked at the ceiling. "We both play games to survive. I bully you, you bite back. Aren't we the same?" There was something strange in her voice, not mocking, almost honest. I said nothing back. She looked over at me sideways, her eyes quiet, tired almost. I thought I hid everything well. Even my mom didn't know my past. How could anyone else? But with one sentence, Lexi pulled it all back up. "Before I came here, I was no stranger to watching someone get bullied. I was the bystander. I made it worse sometimes. At my old school, a girl named Vivian liked me. Rich family, ruthless. She ran a little crew at school, used violence for everything. There was a girl in my class who'd excluded me. I told Vivian. After that, that girl never had a peaceful day. At first I felt something like satisfaction, but then her face became covered in bruises, and she looked at me with red eyes. Am I the only one who suffers? Only then did I want her let go. I woke up too late. Before I could stop Vivian, that girl transferred away and disappeared. After coming to this new school, every time I was bullied, I felt more regret than anger. This was my punishment. I bore it. As long as I didn't bring it up, no one would know. But somehow, Lexi had sensed it. All of it. "Aren't we the same?" she asked one more time. "Maybe." I kept my eyes forward. Even Mom didn't know this. Nobody ever would. Yet in that cold corridor, Lexi pulled it all out of me. I knew what bullying felt like. I'd stood by and done nothing. I'd even made it worse. Before I came here, Vivian had liked me. She relied on her family name, built alliances at school, solved everything with force. There was a girl who always picked on me first. I told Vivian. From that moment, that girl's life fell apart. First, I felt something like relief, but when I saw her face covered in marks, looking at me through red eyes, I broke. Only when I finally said enough did Vivian back off. But it was already too late. The girl had transferred away. After coming here, whenever something happened to me, I felt more shame than anger. This was my consequence. I had earned it. Maybe if I survived this, things would even out. No one knew, but Lexi could smell it on me somehow. That early winter night, she looked down at me, smiled. When two people are the same kind, they always find each other. I said nothing. My nightmare was starting again, but nothing happened. Same as before, she came and went with me. Because we were seen together so much, rumors spread that we were a couple. I wanted nothing to do with her, so every day after school I stayed with Riley for group study. Mom started noticing. "Why are you coming home so late?" I told her the truth. "Studying with a classmate." She stopped doing the dishes. "Boy or girl?" I paused. "A guy." She clearly didn't believe me. "Can't you ask Lexi for help? She's right here. Uncle Dale said she tops the whole grade every exam." I hummed vaguely, went back to my room. I turned into the hallway and found Lexi standing behind the wall. She'd heard everything. "Your aunt is right. If you have questions, come to me." She looked at me with that teasing glint. I went straight back to my room. But whatever you try to avoid comes for you. After midterms, my grades had dropped badly. Mom picked up the report card. "Look, Lexi is top of the grade again. Such a dedicated student." Can't you learn from her?" "I'm not sure I want to copy other people's habits." Lexi appeared from nowhere. "Why not? I'd be happy to help." She smiled at Mom. Mom looked delighted. After Mom went to bed, we sat in the study. I stared at the table. "I want to study." "Don't bother me." She looked innocent. "But we're tutoring, aren't we?" I looked at her sideways. She opened the textbook. "If your grades stay like this, your mom will be upset, right?" She always knew exactly what to say. From my angle, I could see her long eyelashes and small nose. The tips of her ears, flushed pink from the heater. I suddenly understood why everyone liked her so much. Nature had given her everything on the outside. Even if the inside was cruel, it was enough. It was enough to fool everyone, to fool the whole world. "Seen enough?" Lexi had looked up without me noticing, staring at me with a little smile. She had the most striking eyes, clear black and white. When she squinted slightly, they looked almost tender. Since she'd caught me looking, I stopped pretending. "Keep staring. You're only making it worse for yourself." She shrugged it off. "So is it the same type then?" She mentioned Riley, out of nowhere. Strange thing to bring up. She stood up slowly. "Riley can't teach you the way I can. She's class president, sure, but her grades have never been great." She said it plainly, like stating the weather. Being good at grades isn't everything. "Oh, but if your grades improve, you'll get to spend more time with me." "Lucky you." The room felt too warm all of a sudden. She leaned closer, stopped when there were only inches between us, eyes half closed, smiling. "It doesn't matter if I'm a little mean. You're the one who looks good." I knew exactly how twisted she was, but hearing her say that, my heart still jumped. "Back up," I said it out loud. She blinked. Those were the exact words she'd said to me once. After several tutoring sessions, even though I hated Lexi, I had to admit she was a brilliant teacher. She could break down anything complicated with total clarity. One night I was doing homework in the study. At some point I fell asleep. When I woke up, there was a jacket over my shoulders. Lexi sat across from me. The quiet sound of pages turning. A still and silent room. I stayed exactly where I was. Breathed slowly. The jacket carried a faint smell of soap and something soft and warm. In that moment, I felt something toward her ease. Just a little. After a few more sessions, Riley found me. "Marcus, have you been really busy? You never stay after school anymore." I didn't know what to say. "She's been busy studying with me." Lexi appeared from the corner. Riley scratched her head. Oh, I guess that makes sense. She's right next door. Riley didn't seem to notice anything off. She paused, then added, This Saturday I'm organizing a mountain camping trip. A post-exam outing for the class. You coming? I wasn't going to go. Lexi glanced at me. He'll come. We both will. Riley beamed. Great. Saturday, school gate, 8 sharp. After Riley left, Lexi looked at me sideways, smiling, barely. Don't sulk. It'll be fun. There's a lot you haven't seen yet. I turned to walk away and heard her say behind me, I'm going anyway. That was it. 2 people who had no interest in the trip both signed up. Camping. I came well prepared. I'd been camping since I was little. It wasn't new to me. We gathered at the school gate. Everyone boarded a bus to the mountain base. Riley's plan was to reach a clearing at the top before sunset. Camp there. The moment Lexi joined the group, the mood shifted completely. Connor hovered around her the whole hike up. I walked ahead, head down. Their laughter floated up the trail behind me. Riley caught up. Marcus, let's set up tents together later. I agreed without thinking. Why don't we camp side by side? I glanced over at her. Her cheeks were a little pink. A calm voice came from behind us. Lexi, let's be neighbors out here too. Something uneasy rose in my chest. I hadn't heard Lexi volunteer anything like that. I didn't know what she was after. Until later I found I'd lost my charm. Lexi said nothing, just stood up. I'll help you find it. That charm. It was a birthday gift from my mom. I always carried it close. I shook my head at Riley. You need to stay with the group. I'll go alone. I'll be quick. She hesitated. Are you sure? I'll go with him. Lexi was already moving down the trail. I followed without wanting to. The mountain path was steep and narrow. We walked in silence until the sky split open. Rain, sudden and heavy. We ran for the nearest shelter, a small clearing under thick trees. Not enough cover. We were both soaked within seconds. Lexi sat against a boulder. Her hair stuck to her cheek, breathing hard from running. For the first time, she looked completely unguarded, not performing for anyone. She reached into her pocket, pulled out my charm. I stared. She held it out to me. Her hand was wet. So was mine as I took it. You had it. She said nothing, looked away. The rain drummed around us. In that wet, quiet space, I looked at her properly for the first time. Not with wariness or anger, just looking. Her lashes were damp, her jaw set tight. Something in her face I hadn't seen before. Something that looked like fear. I looked away first. After the rain let up, we made our way back up the trail. In silence. But a different kind of silence. Not cold, not hostile, just quiet. Things between us shifted slowly. Over the weeks that followed, she still showed up everywhere I went. But the edge in it changed. Less like a threat, more like she couldn't help it. And I started to wonder when I stopped minding. One day Lexi won the Outstanding Student Award. She walked down from the stage and put the certificate directly into my arms. Right there, in front of everyone, under every curious eye in the hall. I clearly felt what she was doing, marking territory, in the most childlike, open way possible. The last time people had seen us, Riley had explained we were just neighbors. Nobody knew we were step-siblings. The unease grew. I felt I had to do something. I found Riley. Can I ask you a favor? She looked confused. Can you pretend to be my girlfriend? Riley's face went red immediately. But in my eyes she saw something urgent. She didn't ask why. Okay. It worked. Within days the rumors shifted. People stopped linking me to Lexi. Instead they talked about Riley and me. Why are they together? Riley always liked him. What about Lexi? That was probably just a rumor. A group of girls chattered in the corner. Glancing my way, Lexi was across the room. She said nothing. But that evening she knocked on my door again. Late. Well past midnight. I opened the door. She stood there in the dim hallway light, eyes darker than usual. She looked at me for a long moment. Said nothing at first, then very quietly, "You actually got a girlfriend." Her voice was flat. Something under the flatness. I met her eyes. "It's not what you think." She looked away. "Isn't it?" A long silence between us. She turned to go and stopped, back still to me. Wasn't I enough, Marcus? Her voice cracked slightly. Then she was gone. I stood at the door a long time. The hallway was empty, and for the first time I realized I felt bad about it. Not much. Just a little, but enough to stay up all night. 3 days passed. Lexi came to the hospital, badly injured. A fall on the mountain path. They said she'd slipped. She hadn't told anyone. Not Uncle Dale, not our parents. She'd gone alone to get treated. I only found out by accident. I went to the hospital. She was sitting up in bed, looking at the window. Her face cut and bandaged. She looked over when I came in. Said nothing. I pulled up a chair and sat. We stayed like that a while. Two people who didn't know what to say to each other. On the third day, I came back. A strange woman was in the ward. Her voice was soft, almost sweet. But the next second, Lexi ripped her IV needle out. Swept a glass off the bedside table. It shattered on the floor. I rushed in. Uncle Dale came in right behind me. He grabbed the woman, pushed her toward the door. She screamed, completely different from before. Only then did I see her face clearly. Twisted, volatile, but the face was Lexi's face. The same bone structure, same eyes. After Uncle Dale got her out, I noticed blood running from Lexi's hand to her fingertips. I guided her back to the bed. Lie down. She did, without fighting me. I called the nurse. They cleaned the wound, reset the drip. She was quiet through all of it. No resistance. Unusually still. Are you in pain anywhere else? She stared at the ceiling. Didn't answer. The glass was still on the floor. I turned to sweep it up. Then I heard her speak. She asked quietly if the cut from earlier still hurt. My chest squeezed. I looked back. Where they'd shaved her hair, a long old scar ran clear across her scalp. Did she do that on purpose? My voice shook. Lexi lowered her lashes. She was drunk. Threw a bottle. I had no words, no way to comfort her. A child who had grown up inside that kind of violence. Rain had started outside. Quietly, steadily. I stood up. I'll get Uncle Dale. Her hand grabbed mine. I froze. Don't go. It was the first time I saw her like this. Eyes red at the edges. Fragile as a child. Something soft and unfamiliar rose inside me. I held her hand instead. Spoke softly. I'm not going anywhere. The tension in her hand eased. She turned her face away. The rain kept falling. The ward grew quieter. Then, in a voice barely above a breath, Marcus. I'm sorry. After she was discharged, something in Lexi had changed. Away from our parents, she was softer. She stopped with the cold mockery. Started calling me by name. No more twisted performances. I felt uneasy with it. I thought she'd finally come around. But I soon realized it wasn't that simple. She had a strange possessiveness over me. Always at my side. Keeping every other person away. The moment my eyes wandered, she'd pull them back. Find a way to make me look at only her. This wasn't healthy. I started to feel trapped again, and that unease grew. Until the day she put her award in my arms. I realized I had to break free somehow. I approached Riley honestly. Please, pretend to date me. Riley went red, but said yes. The rumors died. The story shifted. People talked about us as a couple instead. Lexi heard every word of it. At home, that night, she knocked on my door. It was very late. She sat down on the edge of my bed, her hands folded in her lap. Tell me the truth. What is Riley to you? I said nothing. She looked down. Does she like you? Still I said nothing. She looked up. Do you like her? The question sat between us, heavy and honest. I looked at her and said carefully, she's my friend. Lexi nodded slowly, stood and walked to the door. Stopped with her hand on the frame. Keep your friend. But don't make me wait too long, Marcus. And she left without looking back. 8 years passed after high school. Mom had passed away while I was away. I carried that loss everywhere. I worked. I built things. I stayed away from anything that reminded me. One morning Connor called. Out of nowhere, after years. You should come back. Things are happening. I returned to that city, and the first face I saw clearly was Riley's. She looked the same, warm, bright, a little more serious than before. She told me she was getting married, to someone good, she said. I said I was happy for her. I meant it. Uncle Dale had aged, but he still smiled when he saw me. He asked how I'd been. I said fine. It wasn't entirely true. He said Lexi was doing well, running a business of her own now. Independent. Successful. I nodded and said nothing, but the name landed somewhere in my chest and didn't leave. Connor dragged me out to drinks, laughing the same way he always did, loud and easy. But at some point in the night, his face got serious. You know about Lexi, right? I looked at him over my glass. What about her? Connor set his drink down. Her mom has been spreading stories about Lexi's past, about how she was with people back then. She's made it ugly. I put my glass down slowly. Lexi's fine. She handles it. Connor looked at me carefully. I'm not sure she is. The next morning I looked for her. She wasn't hard to find. She was standing outside a coffee shop, a cigarette between her fingers. Lexi. 8 years later. She looked the same, and completely different. I stopped a few feet away. She hadn't seen me yet. I watched her for a second. That cigarette. That posture, like she was holding the world at arm's length. Then she looked up and saw me. For just a moment, her face went blank. Something moved through her eyes. Then the familiar wall came back up. She exhaled slowly. Marcus. Her voice. Still the same, low and even. You look awful, she said. I laughed once. You look exactly the same. Something shifted in her eyes. Quick. Almost imperceptible. I stepped closer. She looked down at her cigarette. What are you doing back here? Connor called. She nodded slowly. I looked at her. 8 years of distance. 8 years of not saying the thing. I heard about your mom. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared at the ember of the cigarette. She'll always find a way to make noise. It's fine. I studied her face. She had a new composure about her, not the cold armor from school. Something quieter, more settled. But there was still something underneath, something she'd never let out. I said, "It's not fine." She looked up at me then, for a long second, and something flickered, in those familiar dark eyes. Something I recognized from that rainy night in the hospital. We talked for a while, on the street outside that coffee shop, like people who needed to relearn how. She told me about her business. I told her almost nothing about myself. She noticed. Didn't push. When we finally parted ways, she turned and walked without looking back. Same as always. But this time I stood there watching her go, and I didn't want to look away. The days that followed, I kept running into her. In this small city. In all the familiar places. It felt less like coincidence each time. One evening, I waited outside her office building. When she came out and saw me, she stopped. "You're waiting for me?" I said plainly. "Yes." She stared at me for a moment, then walked past me without a word. I fell into step beside her. "You told me not to make you wait too long." She slowed slightly. "That was 8 years ago. I was a kid." "I know." We walked in silence for a block. Two people who had too much history to start from scratch, but maybe too much history to let go of either. She stopped at a crosswalk, looked at the traffic light. Red. "Why now?" she asked. "Because I couldn't before." The light changed. She walked. I walked beside her. The city moved around us, busy and indifferent. We kept going. 1 block, then 2. Connor called that afternoon. "Everyone's getting together tonight, old school crowd. Riley's fiancé is coming too. And Lexi will be there." I said I'd come. The gathering was at a restaurant downtown. Familiar faces from a decade back. Lexi sat across the long table, looking the way she always looked. Polished, composed, untouchable. But every now and then, her eyes came to me. And mine to her. Connor leaned over and nudged me. "You two are still doing that thing." "What thing?" "That thing where you pretend not to look at each other." I said nothing. He laughed and let it go. After dinner, people scattered slowly. I caught up to Lexi outside. She was putting on her coat. "Walk with me," I said. She gave me a long look, then turned and started walking. I took that as a yes. We walked along the river. The city lights doubled in the water. She spoke first. "My mom wants to meet you." I looked at her sharply. "Why?" "She thinks if she controls who I'm around, she can still control me." "She doesn't." "No, she doesn't." The river moved quietly beside us. I stepped in front of her, stopped her. She looked up at me. The city behind her, that old familiar wariness, and underneath it, something open. I said, I know everything about what you did back then. The bullying, the cold shoulder, all of it. She didn't look away. And I know why. Something shifted in her face, the smallest crack. You grew up angry because someone made you afraid, and I was a safe target. She exhaled slowly. I was awful to you. Yes, you were. And I had my own things I wasn't clean on. Neither of us came into that house as good people. She looked down. I kept your charm, you know. I know. Because you always had mine. She looked back up, eyes bright at the edges. I reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She let me. For the first time in our entire history, she didn't flinch away, didn't run, didn't put up a wall. She just looked at me. And I looked back. Two people who had orbited each other for years, finally standing still. Around the same time, Riley called. She asked to meet, said she needed to tell me something. We met at a cafe. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around a cup. I know you never actually liked me as more than a friend. I looked at her. She smiled first. I knew that, even back then. I just wanted to help. I thanked her, and meant it fully. Be good to her, Riley said. She's been carrying a lot. I nodded. I knew. The crowd cheered outside. I finally came to my senses, in the middle of Riley's proposal setup. Beautiful flowers everywhere, a perfect moment on paper. But all I could see in my mind was a different face. 8 years ago, and 8 years later, and that rainy night in the hospital, a girl holding my hand, saying, "Don't go." Everyone screamed. I turned and ran. 8 years ago. Riley stayed silent when others hurt me. 8 years later, she would always choose her comfort first. I ran through the crowd in my groom's suit, jumped into a taxi. The driver looked at me. Son, running from a wedding? I smiled, eyes squinting. I'm running toward one. When Lexi saw me, she was lighting a cigarette. She looked at me. Her eyes went blank for a moment. That cigarette in her fingers. Going still. Very pretty. She seemed to use all her effort to say it. Aren't you getting married? She took a slow drag. Her hand trembled slightly. Go back. She smiled, forced, light. No need to put on a show for me. I'm afraid to say this. She suddenly stopped. She took another slow drag. I stepped closer. What are you afraid of? She looked up at me, her eyes like a broken sky full of stars. Her voice dropped low. That I'll want to steal you. I laughed until my eyes watered. Lexi, I want to get married. I looked up at her. My voice shook a little. Will you marry me? She didn't seem to understand. Eyes went wide. The next second she pulled me in tight. Her voice broke when she spoke. I know everything. It doesn't matter. You and me. I held her back. You're so stubborn. Letting that woman hurt you all this time. She held me tighter. It was worth it. I slowly got down on one knee, looked up at her. Lexi, will you marry me? Neither Lexi nor I were perfect. In the dark and difficult years of growing up, our paths had tangled together, time and distance between us. Two broken people finding their way through, and finding each other. The day I got engaged to Lexi, we went to visit my mother together. She rested on a hillside in Nanshan. Clear sky above, like a painting. Lexi had made me a new charm, identical to the old one I'd lost. I held Lexi's hand and looked at the stone. Mom, I won't lose it this time. I promise. We're going to be happy. On the gravestone, a black and white photo. My mother, smiling softly, like she was answering me.